Hi everyone, I'm Azel. I chose to do my presentation on the Upper Paleolithic period. I personally have a big interest in the shift between foraging and agriculture, and this is really the time period where we start to see that happen. The geographical context for what I'm talking about is really this sort of Czech Republic microregion. I do mention a site a little bit that's found in that sort of southern Levant area, but most of what I'm going to be talking about contextually is coming from this Dolní Věstonicí Pavlov site that you see kind of right in the middle of this map in Europe moving into Siberia. Like I said, the sites that we see from the Czech Republic that become really relevant are Dolní Věstonicí, Pavlov, Milovici, and then I do also pull a little bit of data from Merg el Hamama, I think is how you say the name of that site, in the southern Levant area. This area is a little bit further south, obviously, in the Jordan-Palestine area, but contextually what I'm pulling comes from about the same time period. And then this is sort of the end of the Pleistocene into the Holocene. This whole time period is from about 45,000 to about 10,000 years ago. This is really, climate-wise, characterized by some rapid climate shifts. This is the end of the last ice age. We see that last glacial maximum happening at like 25,000 to 22,000 years ago. And we also see some ecologies that we don't have any analog comparisons for, meaning quite a few of these species died out at this time. Another interesting thing that we find is that the glacial recessions led to the opening of Siberia and more of the land into Beringia at the time, and this is really characteristic of that last glacial maximum in that period before the start of the Holocene. Socially, we're still seeing these small foraging hunter-gatherer populations in the early Upper Paleolithic, but later on, closer to that Holocene epoch, we get shifts away from small groups and we start seeing more larger family bands coming together. And this is also being encouraged by the sort of shift in hunting patterns that I'll kind of talk about when I get to subsistence. But these large sites are thought to have been places that people gathered for the processes of like game processing or ceremony. We also see in these settlement areas, especially around Dolní Věstonicí and the Pavlov sites, Dolní Věstonicí and Pavlov, that we get ritual burials, it seems like, or at least these are the burials that are surviving with enough context. So we see that these are often painted with burial goods, and then these remains are usually covered with large flat animal bones like those of herbivores. These subsistence that we see from these people are largely focused on high-value prey species. We mostly see reindeer and boar. Even though they're a little bit higher cost and less available, they seem to have a better payoff. And then smaller species were used to supplement where needed. And we're still foraging for plant foods. Something I found really noteworthy is that while red deer bones and teeth are some of the most common among these faunal assemblages, it doesn't seem that they were a big part of the subsistence pattern. They were more used for ornamentation. And then my day in the life is focused on a young boy who is the only child to a recently widowed mother. Again, I'm focusing on that Pavlov region. And he is, or was rather, an apprentice ceramicist, learning from his mother. Now that, like I said, she's recently widowed, so now that my dad's gone, we're going to have to spend more time on feeding and looking for that subsistence. And so it's also going to be more important that we make use of every part of the animal. So turning those bones into tools, scraping them for marrow, and then also making sure that we use the hide for clothing.